David Ropeik, How Risky Is It, Really? Why Our Fears Don't Always Match the Facts. Fears often cloud our judgment, making it difficult to evaluate the risks we face. The book, How Risky Is It, Really? By David Ropeik delves into the complex world of risk perception, exploring the psychological and evolutionary factors that shape how humans respond to threats. In this summary, we'll uncover why people suffer from a perception gap, leading to miscalculations in regard to potential harm. We'll also learn about the automatic fight, flight, or freeze response triggered by fear, the limitations associated with rational thinking, and the numerous mental shortcuts and biases that influence risk perception. Finally, we'll examine various risk perception factors and the influence of shared experience on our judgments.
Risk Perception 101. Fear and cognition drive individuals to perceive risks inaccurately, leading to risky personal behavior and ineffective public policies. Knowing how human beings respond to hazards can help bridge the gap between perceived and actual risks. Evolution has programmed individuals to react to current threats in the same way their ancestors responded to physical dangers, leading to the formation of a risk response system that combines feelings, intuition, gut reactions, and conscious thinking. A person's individual risk response system can lead them to inaccurately evaluate possible harms and overlook real hazards, underlining the importance of understanding human risk perception. The biology of fear. Our bodies are instinctually hardwired for fear, activating the automatic fight, flight, or freeze response. This reaction occurs faster than our rational thinking, triggering the amygdala before the rest of the brain. Fear can also overshadow rational thought and can be conditioned by repeated exposure. Frightening experiences create lasting memories that color our future reactions, and some fears are built in. While people are skilled at identifying scary faces, more complex dangers like climate change can be challenging to recognize. Emotional associations with words can also cloud our thinking. The human mind and its limits. Humans are not purely rational beings, and thus, cannot approach risk decisions with sweet reason. This ability to rationalize is limited by our emotions and the presentation of information. We operate within bounded rationality, and must rely on mental shortcuts or heuristics to make decisions. Biases and categorization also play a role in our perceptions, leading to faulty conclusions and judgments. Anchoring, innumeracy, and awareness of threats also impact our decision-making process. Finally, optimism, while uplifting, can lead to unrealistic assumptions. As humans evolve to be afraid of the unknown, it is essential to understand the limitations of rationality and accept the power of these mental shortcuts. Understanding risk perception factors. Risk perception factors are mental shortcuts people use to evaluate the probability and consequences of danger. Understanding these factors can help build better judgment and improve decision-making. Lack of trust, balancing risk versus benefits, control, choice, natural versus human-made, pain and suffering, uncertainty, catastrophic or chronic, personalization, fairness, and risks to children are all factors that influence how we perceive risk. Feeling in control, making choices, and perceiving risks as familiar and manageable can make situations seem less dangerous, while unknown and uncontrollable risks seem more threatening. The way risks are communicated, including the level of detail and the use of personal stories, also influences risk perception. By understanding these factors and critically evaluating how they influence our perception of risk, we can make more informed decisions and better manage risk in our lives. The power of collective influences on perceived risk. Our perception of risk is not just influenced by individual factors but also by group-based factors like community events, groupthink, and cultural cognition. While individualists accent personal responsibility in limited government, communitarians emphasize society's needs and collective action. Hierarchists believe society should distribute rights and duties differently, while egalitarians prefer equal distribution of rights and goods. The media also shapes our view of the world, often distorting our evaluation of risks. Understanding these collective influences is crucial to avoiding the perception gap and making informed decisions. Navigating the perception gap. Our minds, when under stress or fatigue, tend to inflate risks, leading to a perception gap. Through this gap, it becomes challenging to view threats objectively. However, one can reduce this perception gap by being mindful of the factors that influence it. Start by understanding the news, which tends to report threats in the most sensational way. Seek the percentage change, relative risk, and the actual number of those affected, absolute risk, to make informed decisions. Also, avoid personalizing threats without establishing their accuracy. Reframe numerical statements and assess trade-offs to evaluate potential benefits and risks. Pay attention to risk perception factors, such as personal experience and emotional biases, and seek unbiased news sources. By acknowledging and accounting for these factors, you can make better informed decisions and avoid getting lost in the perception gap.
Understanding the drivers behind our perception of risk is critical, as our fears often do not match reality. David Ropeik's insightful book, How Risky Is It, Really?, reveals the intricacies of the human risk response system and the numerous factors and biases present in our decision-making process. To make better assessments, one must accept the existence of the perception gap, identify influencing factors, and seek information from diverse sources to form more accurate judgments. By achieving an improved comprehension of risk, we can not only safeguard ourselves but also contribute positively toward the development of public policies that better address society's real hazards rather than focusing solely on perceived risks.